Today we've got some cards that are playing out a whole lot better than we initially thought. It's Overperformers.
I'm Mia, and I like Blind Beans a little bit too much.
I'm BZ, and I really enjoy making 2/2 zombies when my lands enter the battlefield. And we've got a Patreon. You can actually go to the Patreon for Nitpicking Nerds and support the channel directly. But guess what happens then? It's not over. You don't just throw your money into a black hole. You get exclusive content, and you get some other perks. You get some merch, and some perks, and it's all going to go super well for you. And I would also say, if you're thinking of supporting yourself at the same time as supporting us, you can go to Dragon Shield. They have the best sleeves in the multiverse.
Good sleeves.
As a matter of fact, and there's an EU and US link, so whatever's better for you, you go straight to the source, you buy some sleeves, and you support the channel and yourself at the same time. That makes me think of Cool Stuff Inc., also a sponsor of the channel. You can save 5% on your order by using code
NERDS
at checkout. And when you use code
NERDS
at checkout in that perfect nerd's voice,
NERDS,
you're saving 5%. It's actual cash money for yourself, and you could never be happier. I mean, who could be happier with that deal?
Another sponsor for this video is Moxfield.com, the best site to build your decks. There's going to be an ad for Moxfield in this video, and you are not going to be able to guess it. And if you said that you guessed it and you were right, you are lying.
I'm sorry that you feel the need to lie on the internet, but guessing the Moxfield ad is not possible. Feel free to try. You will fail.
Also, happy birthday to everyone whose birthday's today.
So today we're doing Overperformers. This is cards that have exceeded our wildest expectations, just ended up playing way better than we thought they were going to. And we're going to start out with a banger. It's Passionate Archaeologist, card that recently spiked up to $6. It's 1 and a red for an enchantment. It's a background, so we're not playing it in the command zone, but it says our commanders have the ability to deal damage equal to a spell's mana value if we cast the spell from exile. And it says that for each commander. So what I like to do is to put 2 commanders in the command zone so that when they're both out, Passionate Archaeologist triggers for both of them and deals a bunch of damage.
I've seen his Kaidel and Dargo Cascade deck, and oh my god, it deals so much damage over the course of a game. I just keep getting punched in the face with it.
Yeah, you basically have to kill it right away because in your Cascade decks, in your Impulse Draw decks, in your Madness decks, it's just the thing. It's the win condition that everybody wants to go to. It's cheap to deploy, it's good early, it's good late, and it's kind of just really annoying, whereas to me it looked like a background in the beginning, which is not, I don't care about these backgrounds.
What you need to do, run more removal and kill it immediately. The next thing that you should kill immediately on this list is Drana and Linvala. It is a creature, a 3/4 creature for 4 mana that states that any activated abilities that opponents have on their creatures can't be activated, and Drana and Linvala gets them instead. And I think it's been so good. I thought it was just going to be okay. I put in a Kalia deck and just to replace old Linvala. But instead, it's been so good. I even slotted it into my Edgar Markov deck because it's a vampire too, which made it absolutely crazy to put in.
Is the fact that it just steals the ability also just takes it into this whole new category. Linvala's oh great, no abilities. But Drana Linvala's no. Give me the abilities. So most of the time you have this out, it's going to be a nice little annoying 8-bear stacks piece, but then it'll always give you something extra. It's got flying and whatever, that's fine, but it'll tap for mana if you stop a mana door. It'll have some kind of crazy activated ability. If there's I don't know, Soul of Innistrad or something in play, you can just snipe these really cool abilities and kind of shut opponents down for a while.
The real BM move is to just keep it as a mana dork and just tap it for mana after you attack with it because it has vigilance.
You're okay, attack you for 3, make a mana with it. Oh, don't you wish you could make a mana? Well, you can't.
Make a mana, let it burn, pass.
Yeah, burn the mana just to mess with them. Next card, I'm blown away at the fact that we haven't mentioned it on an Overperformers video, but it's Kenra's Transformation. It's 1 in a green enchantment aura. I guess I love the 2 mana enchantments. ETB, draw a card, you enchant a creature, and the creature is a 3/3 elk, which has no abilities. It's just a 3/3. But the thing that pushes this card over the edge instead of these replaceable make a commander a 0/1 bug, or turn it into a forest, is it costs 2 and it just replaces itself right away. So as soon as I resolve the card and draw my card, I'm even on cards. But I shut down your commander or your super hard to answer thing, and now you have to deal with it.
Enchantments are just so sticky too that it's not like a kill spell where it's see your commander next turn because I'll have just enough mana to do it. It's oh no, I might have to use a kill spell on my own commander to do it.
Yeah, you gotta free it up.
That hurts.
Yeah, this is just so frustrating to have your commander locked down. And that's the main use for this. I really want to hit a commander, but the fact that they can hit other things is just great. It's obviously a little rough against stack outlets, but it's still the fact that it's green really plays a role in how much I'm playing this card because green can't answer creatures. Beast Within is one of the go-to ways to answer creatures, but then it's Song of the Dryads and this. These cards are really, really playable. I think this is basically a staple. You could put this in any mono green deck, and I think it's a good idea.
It slots into any green deck, and it's such a headache to remove.
Yeah, let's go to the next one. This is one you picked. It's Celestine the Living Saint. Why don't you enlighten us as to what that does?
Celestine the Living Saint is a 5-mana 3/4 with flying and lifelink that says, at the beginning of your end step, you can return a creature card with mana value X, where X is the amount of life you've gained this turn. I think this is an amazing card that I've seen it being played in the Commander Cube. I've seen it played in my friend's deck, and it has just been so good every single time in the dedicated life gain decks.
Yeah, when you're gaining life, you just start punching in, and she kind of like fuels herself a little bit. She's a flyer, so she's got some evasion. It's hard to block. So you're going to connect for 3 life a lot of the time, and then it's like, all right, great. Sun Titan every turn. Like, that's kind of the floor. So if you're filling up your graveyard, if you're gaining life, I got to think this is one of the better versions. We've seen this kind of text in a lot of Legends. There's Ratchet, and there's like Rudolph or whatever, Rodolph. Like, those cards are less interesting to me. This one is the one that feels like it's costed the most aggressively.
Yeah, with one just extort trigger with the 3 life back that you get, I've seen lures come back from the graveyard to the battlefield in just like 1 turn cycle, and that is just so brutal sometimes.
Yeah, it kind of looked a little meh. You know, it looked like a commander only type card, but this is definitely a 99 type of slot. You can put it in the command zone or the deck. But this next one is only for the deck because it's not a commander, so deal with it. It's Treachery, which is 3 blue for an enchantment aura. It says, you control enchanted creature. We've seen that a million times, but what we haven't seen a million times is that when it enters the battlefield, you untap 5 lands. So the net cost to cast the spell, if it resolves, is 0.
I've played Corrupted Conscience, and that's for 5 mana and you steal a creature, and that I thought that was good. But doing it for free is absolutely nuts.
There's actually just like a million different things that you can do to break this card. Now, aside from just cast it and get a 0 mana control magic, you want, like, talk about transformation answering a commander. It's like, I'll just steal your commander and then take the rest of my turn. This spell is like, there's no way to replicate how mana efficient this is, and it is on the reserve list, and I think you might be hearing from it in a future video in terms of the price of this card, but we're just talking about the impact it has. It looks more replaceable than it is, and it just ends up being like kind of insane.
Yeah, if you thought Age of Treachery was bad, imagine just doing that but for free, and that is just crazy to me.
I mean, you just start getting to like modes, game states where you can flicker this, take control of the next best creature, of a new best creature in the battlefield, and then untap 5 lands again. Like, I'm thinking like Brago, King Eternal, just attacking every turn, and they're just treacherying something, and then untapping 5 more lands. It's like a Prairigan Drake and a Mind Control.
I would not want to be on the other side of that.
You're gonna be, because I play this card.
Okay, cool. Good to know. Another card that is absolutely brutal is Void Winnower. It's a gigantic Eldrazi that says your opponents can't cast even mana spells. And yes, 0 is even.
Yes, 0 is even. They also can't block with even mana value creatures, so tokens can't block. To me, this card, even when I'm looking at it right now, just looks like a replaceable top of the curve, like, oh no, it's like a thing that costs 10 mana, or it's like a big spell, like, and I'm not scared of it, but when it's in play, you always look down at your hand and you're like, well, I can't do anything.
Yeah, it's like this card knows when you don't have swords or path in your hand. It goes, all right, you know, the 4-mana removal spell, though. That one.
Yeah, play your Hagra Mauling. Play your Snuff Out. Oh, wait. You cannot. Yeah, it's just like, it always ends up destroying me when I think of all the odd mana value spells I could draw. Nope, they're all the even spells that are in your hand. This card is like, it's not a replaceable curve topper. It's a little bit better than that for sure.
Yeah, 9 mana for it seems definitely expensive, but it always seems to come in clutch.
Yeah, it always comes in clutch. We always hate this card. I like a card that has partner and can be your commander, but I wouldn't even recommend doing that specifically. It's Krav, the Unredeemed. I don't care about Regna. Sorry, I want Krav, because he says pay a black and sacrifice any number of creatures to draw X and gain X, and put X +1/+1 counters on him. He's really expensive. It's a 5-mana 3/3, like, do nothing. So I wouldn't recommend ever playing it if he's your only creature, or if you can't hold up a black to sacrifice things right away. But once you get through that, like, initial hoop, this card will just dominate the game, and there's really no clean answer for him, because you're going to activate him right away, get your value, and then your opponent will feel bad.
I think I just saw this played in your Belladeros deck, and boy, like, with those pests that keep coming back and just sacking those into it, it just hurts every time. It just gets so big. There's not much you can do about it at a certain point.
Right. Once I draw 8 cards with this, what are you supposed to do? It's like, oh, we killed Krav. It's like, yay, you're dead. You're just going to die.
Croft can fit into so many decks. It can go on sacrifice decks, it can go on life gain decks, and it just draws so many cards too. It just snowballs if you let it get too far.
And I know that I don't respect Regna, but if you respect Regna or you have a life gain deck or you want tokens or something, this thing does say draw a card, tutor Regna when it enters.
Yeah. Plus it has partners, so you can partner it if it's your
you can
commander.
play them in your command zone.
Yeah, it's definitely an option. You know what other card always manages to impress me? Moxfield.com.
It's the best way to build a deck site, best deck to build a website, on the best website to build a deck site on the internet. And if you're using it, you're winning. If you're not using it, you're losing because you're using redacted website. That's a big no-no. We love Moxfield. We use it all the time. Even Mia uses it on all her decks. She's brand new and she's always used it because Moxfield is the superior way to deck build. We don't bring redacted users onto the show.
No, absolutely not. Moxfield is so amazing to build all of your decks. And they actually have a new feature out right now. If a card was in a precon, it will tell you in the view details whether it was in a precon and which one it was in.
You know that sometimes you're like, what precon was this card in? I got to look for my collection. It just tells you on the, we're trying to build decks. And Moxfield's over here like, hey, did you know this was in the Commander 2014, 2017 and the Anthologies precons? And you're just like, oh my God, thank you. I didn't know this. It's just, Moxfield gives you information you didn't even know you needed. So if you're not on Moxfield, get on there before I start making fun of you.
Let's go to another card that's been so good in my Yarok deck. It's Hostage Taker. It's a 4-mana 2/3 that says when it enters the battlefield, you can exile an opponent's artifact or creature. And you can play it for as long as it remains exiled. Now, I've definitely taken some crazy things with Hostage Taker. Like, for instance, I just took my friend's Mana Crypt, and oh boy, playing that for free, amazing feeling.
Could there be a better feeling? Yeah, Hostage Taker looks a little, I don't know, like, it looks pretty mid. It's like, there's so many options with this mana value, but I think there's a lot of decks that have, like, ETBs matter. Like you said, Yarok, you have it in, like a budget Yarok deck. ETBs matter, have a lot of mana sitting around, maybe some recursion type where you can get it back. The fact that you can steal it, it kind of turns it into basically like a differently costed Agent of Treachery, where like if I steal your 3-drop and I cast it right away, that's Agent of Treachery on your 3-drop. I'm taking the best thing. I like that it's not super expensive, although just in general, the Overperformers, they can be any price. It just is like, if people forget about Hostage Taker, no, this card's actually still really good.
Yeah, the effect stapled onto a body is absolutely amazing in creature-based decks. And just every single time that takes something and I play it instantly, I never regret putting this into my deck.
Right, and then but it's still in play. Like it's the Agent of Treachery problem. It's funny, it's also a 2/3. You steal a thing, play it, oh man, that felt bad. But Hostage Taker's still there. You know they can blink it, they can recur it or whatever, and then you're like just stuck in this position of like, what am I supposed to do?
Yeah, bringing it back always is crazy. No one like really expects it. I feel like they forget about it once it leaves the battlefield and they think that's not their problem anymore.
You think it's over? You think I'm done with you?
But unless you're like swordsing it, which I've never seen someone use a swords on Hostage Taker.
I think maybe it's the right move.
I think it definitely could be because of how much trouble that I've caused people with it in the past.
All right. One of our more controversial, shall I say, takes over the last few years is kind of hating on Totsky a little bit and saying like, geez, 4-mana 1/1 indestructible with the text that whenever I hit somebody I draw a card. Not as great as I thought. But a card that has been better than that is better than we thought it would be, is Oran Frostfang. It's 5 mana for like a 2/8, whatever. It's got a million toughness. Your creatures have Death Touch when they attack, and when they hit, you get to draw a card for each one. This card just has all the right words on it. It's got the Bow of Nylea text, but I don't really want to play Bow of Nylea by itself because I don't just want that. And then it's got the Toski text, and we're like, I don't really want to play Toski, but it helps you push through damage and then rewards you for connecting.
Yeah, the attacking creatures that have Death Touch has been so like annoying when I've played against it because it always feels like an unfair trade. There's always those little like 1/1s that you see, and it's basically like, oh, it feels unfair to trade my like 2/2 for a 1/1, even though that's in the end of the game. That won't matter that much. But
it feels bad. You're like, I don't want to trade my 3/3 for your 1/1.
Yeah, you can hit me for 1.
Then it hits you for 1, and you're like, I didn't like that either.
Yeah, and then it's like, oh, here's a card, and it doesn't feel good either way, but if you're playing it, like, you just chip in so much damage throughout the game.
Yeah, Value City. If you got tokens, I'm thinking Oran Frostfang is your guy. If you're a snow deck, it's one of the only good snow creatures that even exist.
Plus the amount of toughness it has on it.
It's 6 toughness, not actually 1 million or 8.
It's definitely a deterrent.
Yeah, it like kind of blocks well. It's just all around kind of a unit.
I haven't been a huge fan of Toski. It's been pretty disappointing in the decks that I've tried it in. But with this, you can push through damage with the Death Touch attacking creatures, and you can also get cards, which just makes it a really 2-in-1.
Yeah, again, it's really like the confluence of the death touch plus the combat trigger that makes it so that you get the best of both worlds and it actually is annoying and not just, oh, I'll block all your stuff for free. And we have another one. It's called Fight Rigging. Mia, what does that do?
Fight Rigging is a 3-mana enchantment that has Hideaway 5 that says, at the beginning of combat on your turn, you put a +1/+1 counter on a creature that you control. And if you have a creature with 7 or more power, you can play the exiled card for free. This has been so good in every deck that I've seen it in. I've seen it in budget decks, non-budget decks, and every single time it's always the big green stompy decks.
It always is.
So you always get that 7 power so quickly, and then it's like, oh, I've had this in play for 1 or 2 turns. All right, time to play, this big 12 drop for free. So cool.
Yeah, it looks at enough cards so you can reasonably cheat mana with it. Like, you're not going to hit 5 lands in a row. You're going to get a spell out of this, so it has like a cantrippy type effect. The counters help fuel it, so you only need a 6-power creature when you play it, because this puts the 7th counter, 7th power on it. And it's like it fits in counter decks, and it also just fits in the random stompy decks that don't even care. They're like, oh, a counter? Sure, whatever. I have a 12/12. I played Primeval Protector for 1 mana. Here's my other thing that I'm going to cheat out right now.
Yeah, and it just goes down for 3 mana, so it's an early game play. It fits into your curve really well, and then you just get that little extra counter every single turn.
Yeah, I didn't like how these hideaway cards looked in the beginning. I'm like, I don't know. Like, wiretapping, no offense. Wiretapping kind of sucks. Cemetery, whatever, kind of is also terrible. And the red one is unplayable because it's 5 colors, so you're never going to get to it. But rabble rousing and then especially fight rigging actually rose up, and we're like, oh yeah, we're playing hideaway cards now.
Yeah, hideaway has been amazing in general.
I want to see more hideaway because it's cool to cheat mana and it's cool to meet a restriction. Like the lands are hard to do. They're really cool, but I'm glad I want to see more things that come up.
Yeah, just if your deck is built to do this already and have just a lot of power on the board, this is one of the easiest restrictions that you can meet to play a card for free.
For sure. And if you're thinking, for free, how do I play other cards for free? I'll say, maybe we mentioned one in our last Overperformers video. So there's a little box that you can click on, and guess what? It'll take you right to the video, and I think it'll be pretty helpful. And remember, kids, a spell on the stack is worth 2 in the hand.